God says to Paul, every now and then you got a soul quench. And Paul is like, what? God says, you got to quench your soul. And Paul is like, what's that? God is like, it's when your soul passes through fire. It burns off all negative energy. It's very painful. Like you can't breathe for months. It's painful. But you got to do it because it will quench your soul. When a blacksmith forges a sword, the very last step is he takes that hot molten metal and he dips it in a barrel of oil or water and it hardens the steel. So before the soul is quenched, it's useless and it's weak. But once you quench it, kind of like your soul, it becomes strong. And in order to ignite your soul power, you have to quench your soul. You got to do something so difficult that it practically destroys you. And then at the last second, God baptizes you into a new form. So Paul says, well, I got to think about this. So Paul goes on about his day. They happen to be arresting Jesus followers that day. So he gets arrested. They beat Paul to a bloody pulp. They shackle his ankles. They throw him into a jail cell. And Paul thinks, this has to be soul quenching. We just talked about this. And he focuses on his breath to get through the night. And then the Bible says there was a violent earthquake. And Paul says, my dungeon shook and my chains fell off. And even though Paul's got a black eye, he walks out of there and he's a new man. Birds suddenly appear. His tinder's blowing up. You can smell the flowers. The sky is so blue. Someone hands him a puppy dog. Everything's the same, but everything's different. It's more vivid. And he feels completely alive. And Paul is like, why? Why is everything about me so much better? And God answers, soul quenching. And Paul was like, wow, is that what it is? And God is like, yeah, it's so good for the soul. It makes you so sharp. And Paul says, because I feel like I'm sharp as a sword. And God says, girl, your soul can cut deep. You got the power now. When you're pure, because you've soul quenched, you're powerful. And there is nothing more powerful in the world than a pure soul. Please write this in your journal. When my soul is purified, I become more powerful.